So let's talk about something I think we've all felt. That moment when your brain just locks on to a worry and it won't let go. It's like you're stuck on the worry channel and you just can't find the remote. We're going to get into exactly why that happens. You know the feeling, right? It's 3 in the morning and you're replaying some awkward thing you said, or you're imagining every single tiny thing that could go wrong in that big meeting tomorrow. It feels like your mind is just a broken record, stuck on the absolute worst track. But why? Why does it do that? And you know, that feeling of being on a mental hamster wheel, it's not just a saying, it's a real, surprisingly powerful, and incredibly common pattern of thinking. It actually has a purpose, even if it feels completely pointless and exhausting. At its very core, this loop is just a pattern. It's your brain constantly and repetitively thinking about negative stuff. It could be something that already happened, something that's bugging you right now, or, and this is usually the big one, something that might happen down the road. It's like a mental echo that just refuses to fade away. Well, it turns out there's a scientific name for this whole experience. It's called perseverative cognition. I know, it sounds a little complicated, but it's actually the perfect way to describe that feeling of being mentally stuck on repeat. Let's just break that down real quick. Cognitive representation. That's just a fancy term for the mental picture you have of something stressful. You know, like a looming deadline or a mistake you made. And repeated or chronic activation, that just means your brain keeps pulling up that picture over and over and over again, basically keeping the stress on a constant drip. Now, this whole process, it really shows up in two main flavors. First, you've got rumination. That's when your brain is stuck looking backward, just chewing on things that have already happened. And then there's worry. That's your brain looking forward, getting totally fixated on all the potential what-ifs that might be coming. Okay, so this is where it gets really important. This is not just some harmless mental exercise. This constant loop of negative thoughts, it has very real, very physical consequences. Your body is listening to every single one of those thoughts. And here is the absolute key to all of this. Your body doesn't know the difference between a real, actual threat and the thought of a threat. It just doesn't. So when you're worrying about something that might happen next week, your body flips all the switches as if it's happening this very second. And over time, that has a serious cost. Your heart rate jacks up, your blood pressure rises, your body gets flooded with the stress hormone cortisol. Over the long haul, this causes what scientists call a wear and tear effect. It's a direct line connecting the stress in your head to real physical health problems. So, if this is so draining and so bad for us, why on earth do our brains do it? What's really pulling the strings here? Well, it turns out the real villain behind this whole worry loop isn't the scary thing you're thinking about. It's something much simpler and much more common: uncertainty. I absolutely love this quote because it just nails it. The human brain is an anticipation machine, and making future is the most important thing it does. Just think about that. Your brain's number one job is to predict what's coming next. It's constantly trying to map out the future to keep you safe. It is, quite literally, an anticipation machine. And this prediction system is fantastic when it has clear information. But the second things get foggy, the second you don't know what's going to happen, the machine starts to glitch. And that glitch, that feeling of the system kind of short-circuiting because it can't see the future, that's what we call anxiety. This brings us to a really key difference. Fear is a response to a clear and present danger. A bear is standing right in front of you. That's fear. Anxiety, on the other hand, is a response to a potential and uncertain threat. What if there's a bear in those woods up ahead? Fear is about right now. Anxiety is all about what if. Now, for people who are more prone to anxiety, that anticipation machine doesn't just glitch out. It goes into total overdrive. The brain starts to over-prepare for this uncertain future, but it does it in ways that are actually not helpful at all. This is what kicks off something researchers call judgment bias. It's like the brain's threat assessment software gets a bug, and it starts making some pretty serious errors in how it calculates risk. And there are two main malfunctions here. First, the brain just inflates the numbers. It makes a bad outcome seem way more likely to happen and way more catastrophic than it probably is. And second, and this part is just fascinating, the brain uses the act of worrying to avoid a deeper feeling. It feels productive, right? Like you're problem solving. But what you're really doing is dodging the raw gut punch feeling of pure fear that's underneath it all. Okay, so knowing all of this, that our brains are literally wired to anticipate the future, that they absolutely hate uncertainty, and that they get stuck in these weird self-protective loops, What are we supposed to do? How do we live with this hardware we've been given? And this leads to a really powerful shift in thinking. Maybe the goal was never to eliminate worry. I mean, the future is always going to be uncertain, right? The real challenge is to change our relationship with uncertainty itself, to get more comfortable with the discomfort of not knowing. And that's really the final thought to leave you with. What if the goal isn't to control a future that you can never truly control? What if, instead, all that energy went into getting better at just navigating the fog and trusting that you can handle whatever comes out of it?